It's all going to be very interesting. I mean, AEW has a lot of problems right now. And what do you think about the idea that now all of a sudden people are paying attention to these problems? Now because it's overt, because there are incidents that can't be ignored. People are talking about this, but for a long time, we weren't the only ones. We were certainly the most prominent ones. But for sometimes we were the only ones talking about the problems backstage in AEW, the problems with the management structure, the problem with the lack of management, all of these issues beyond the bad booking, which now people are paying attention to because they can't ignore it. Beyond people not buying tickets like they used to, which people are now paying attention to because they can't ignore it. All of the management issues that we've talked about. What are your thoughts on the fact that people are now kind of paying attention to it?
Well, and it's not, here we're not trying to say, I told you so, I told you so. Here's the deal. Other people were talking about it since the start. They just didn't happen to have a podcast that reaches as many people as we do. And when I would talk to either people who had been in the wrestling business for 30 years who were looking at what was going on, they saw the same thing I did. Or except for the ones that wanted a job at a high fucking financial rate, they wouldn't admit that, but I'm sure they saw the same thing. And there were some people in the wrestling journalism community that when this first thing came up realized it's, an unproven, inexperienced guy with the personalities involved. That wasn't Uncle Dave I'm talking about, but there were people. And it's just now, it's more obvious to everybody that they can't ignore. It's happened out in front of them. But that's the thing when you've been, again, if you're a chemist, right? And you've been experienced chemist for 30 years, you know that this compound and that compound and this chemical, if you mix that, you get nitroglycerin or whatever, right? You don't have to mix it and wait for it all to blow up to know what you're going to get. When you see the three chemicals, because you've been doing this shit for 30 years, you go, if you mix those up, that shit's going to blow up. You've got an inexperienced boss and booker who's the same person who's never done this before at any level, much less national television. You've got veteran wrestlers with name value that saw a money mark. You've got new wrestlers, indie wrestlers that have never been on television or done anything to this extent. And they see him as a way to get on TV. And of course, they probably think he's a great booker because he's booking them on TV and they've never seen what a fucking booker does before. So they don't know the difference. You put people in positions that they didn't know how to do, either at all or at that level. People that believed their own publicity and thought they were the greatest wrestling stars in the world. And then when they got real stars, the jealousy started bubbling up because guess what? I don't care how over Kenny and the Cucamonga Kids thought that they were in their world. They were never CM Punk over, even Chris Jericho over, or Bryan Danielson over. Although Danielson's such a nice guy, he stays out of, bickering. But it's not that easy, or somebody else would have done it. It's not just the money. And there's been a lot of people that tried to do it that had more of everything else besides the money. But they didn't have the money. So Tony had the money, but as we're finding out now, he didn't have most everything else and wasn't smart enough to put that together. And one more thing, and I'll close this comment up. He promoted a bunch of people in talent relations to work under him, but talk to the boys that may be fine people, but again, have never done any of that before. So there you go.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a great idea to put Tony Schiavone in a big talent relations position. But Jim, when you talk about all the decisions Tony Khan has made, good and bad, I would have to think someone in his position, when he comes from means, he has a lot of money, I would have to think he may be distracted from AEW because he's spending a lot of time investing in fine art.
Well, that's true because he's collected football players and soccer players and wrestlers, but the real way to make the money, folks, is collecting fine art. And our friends at Masterworks, they have been kicking ass. Have you heard about this? Brian, have you read the news? Right anymore, if you put money in the stock market, it's a gamble. You might as well be going to Las Vegas. Put everything on 21 black. You never know. The market's up, it's down, it's sideways. You never know what's going on. But folks, with Masterworks, do you know that Masterworks has given an average net return of 29% to their members? 29%. That's like $100,000 in, $130,000 out. Bing, bang, boom. Just like that. Holy mackerel. Can you get a 30% return these days in the stock market? Last month, Masterworks sold another painting for a 33.1% return, while the market was nuking everybody else's 401ks. Brian, has your 401k been nuked?
I mean, I'm all right, but I still think Masterworks is a wonderful investment idea.
Yes, because if they gave a 33.1% return on a painting they sold last month, and the last 6 have given an average net return of 29%. Now, if gasoline is up 74% and the stock market is down 16%, and Masterworks is giving returns of 29 to 33.1%, well, then you have, ladies and gentlemen, a 47.8% chance of making money with Masterworks. And I got that right from Scott Steiner, and he is a financial genius. Don't forget, he actually owns a Shoney's.
He's not, and he doesn't anymore. But anyway, go ahead.
Shoney's went out of business.
Someone told me he sold it.
Well, good. And then he got his money back, but maybe not what he would have got with Masterworks. Instead of buying the Shoney's breakfast bar, he should have bought a piece of a Van Gogh. Folks, anyway, the Masterworks, folks, they got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau or the Better Business Bureau. Which, of course, the Better Business Bureau has over 530,000 members, and Masterworks gets an A+. That means that out of 530,000 members, to get an A+ rating, well, there's a 1,474% chance of that not happening, according to my math.
That's not math. I don't know what it is that you're doing. What do you think about the Better Business Bureau? Do you think more companies should use the word bureau?
Yes, bureau is an underrated word these days because a bureau, it intimates a collective group of people that are working together for the common good, right? The Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They're regulating things. They're keeping an eye on things. Bureaus are very good things. And business, that's a good thing. And if you're better, then that's an even better thing. So the Better Business Bureau, that's fantastic. And that's what Masterworks belongs to, folks. So I'm telling you, what are you laughing at? It's better to do business with a bureau.
That's right.
I wouldn't recommend nonsense to you guys. These people at Masterworks, they're good people. They use their left and right turn indicators. We've talked about them many times. They're trying to make you some money. We've met with their people to talk about how amazing this opportunity is, and so many of you signed up before that they want to offer all of you now priority access. You can skip the wait list, and you can get in on this. You can get a piece of that Rembrandt and cash in and have your own island of the South Pacific even quicker by skipping the wait list. Go to masterworks.art/Jim. That's masterworks.art/Jim. And before you do that, you can see important Regulation A disclosures. I'm not sure whether they come from the Better Business Bureau or not, but they're important, and they concern disclosures on Regulation A. And you can see that at masterworks.com/CD. But anyway, skip the wait list. Make money. Masterworks.art/Jim.